Welcome to Blind City. I had to lose my sight to find my vision.
Are you blind? Are you blind? Open your eyes. They lying every time, so I don't trust men, only trust God. I had to lose my sight before I could see the light.
Welcome to Blind City. See, Blind City is a condition. Crime, racism, and poverty. We have to put the word neighbor back into hood. I had over 31 surgeries and lost my sight and fight to glaucoma. I tried killing myself 3 times in one day, and I was unsuccessful. And then I heard a voice tell me, use your weakness as a strength to inspire and create awareness through Blind City, the podcast. I will address the issues that are plaguing our society, like poor education, that are turning our broken neighborhoods into the breeding grounds for prisons, bootleg preachers, crooked politicians that have my people dancing like strippers in the community. Let's talk about it, or we can flip tables like Jesus. Welcome to Blind City. This is Blind City, the podcast. I'm your host, Langford Cunningham, along with Dr. Porter. We are the therapy for these streets. And like I said before, the most dangerous man in the world is a blind man with a handgun. Welcome to Blind City. I'm your host, Langford Cunningham. I had to lose my sight to find my vision. Let me say what's up to the people in my community. Blind City, thank you for your support. Dr. Porter, how you doing?
I'm fine, LC. How are you doing, man?
Man, blessing blind, man. Still praising the Most High in this condition, man. Still trying to affect and change lives. Mr. Sims, how you doing? AKA Frank Lucas.
I'm doing well. How you doing, LC?
Oh, man, like I say, we out here. The struggle continues. Let's get right into it about the current events, man. Donald Trump.
Wow.
Donald Trump had the red carpet, got into Air Force One, took off, but he freed a lot of black men out of prison.
Yes, sir.
He freed a lot of black men out of prison. I think he freed more black men than any other president in the United States, Dr. Porter.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about a few names. Lil Wayne, the rapper, gave him a pardon. Lil Wayne got caught up with them drugs on the plane and guns.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump say, hey, here your ticket. Kodak Black, another rapper. Here's your ticket. Let's get to the gangsters. Michael Harris, who started Death Row Records with Suge Knight.
Boom.
Michael Harris got the ticket. He back in the hood. If you don't know the history of Michael Harris, you can Google him on your internet. Use the internet for research. Just don't use it for women twerking all damn day on the internet and gossiping and calling out people, say you're going to shoot them on sight. Use the internet what it's there for. Do your research. And Dr. Porter,
Yes,
the
sir.
former mayor of Detroit, got caught up in the scandal with the stripper. I think the stripper got murdered. Kwame Kirkpatrick. Is that his name? Did I say it right?
Kwame, yes, sir.
Kwame Kirkpatrick out of Detroit. So what you think, Dr. Porter, about these releases?
Well, I think there are a couple of things I believe behind it. I believe that you have an individual who definitely isolated himself from people of color, from the Black community, who in one sense is trying to ingratiate himself again with the Black community by releasing certain people who have involved themselves in certain behaviors that we deem as negative behaviors, which in a psychological sense, it reinforces doing that negative behavior because it's saying to some people who do not understand certain things that you can get off, you can get away with operating with that type of behavior or doing that type of behavior. So it does that in one sense. In the next sense, it does something for Donald Trump in the sense that he's spiteful. He's petty. So in doing that, he he alienates, or he makes mad the white community. So they get upset. So in one sense, he's releasing black people. In another sense, he knows they're going to anger the white community. So that's the pettiness of it. So it's a twofold thing. One is to ingratiate himself with the black community, because we are very more so emotional. We have a tendency, not with each other, but we have a tendency to forgive really quickly, to forgive real quick to our oppressor. Now, we won't do that for each other, but we will do that for our oppressor. And he understands that our psychosis. So that's one reason. And as I stated before, not to be redundant, the other reason is also to play on the psychosis that we can engage in that type of behavior, and somehow, some way, we'll be able to get away with it. And then the pettiness part of it is that he's going to make a lot of Caucasian people and a lot of conservative people very angry by him doing those pardons.
Facts. You're absolutely right, Dr. Porter. And also, jail in our community, when a person go to jail, we salute them. It's like, congratulations. We celebrate more people coming home from jail than kids that graduate and get a diploma. A lot of women date brothers in jail in the community.
Yeah.
More than any other races in their community. They look at jail as a failure in their community. But in our community, we hold people up in jail like they a hero. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of these kids get into these crimes, and when they go to jail and don't snitch, they throw a party for them coming back home. But the kid graduating from Vashon, it's like they shrug their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
What you think about that, Dr. Porter? The women love men in jail.
Well, we have been indoctrinated, and we have been also psychologically castrated, in a sense that we have normalized dysfunctionality. Now, a lot of times, not just women, but men too, but mostly women are governed by two principles. That's boredom and also being jealous. So you have jealousy and boredom, but most of the time it's exciting. We see these images in the media about these particular individuals, and they've been glorified. The lifestyle of the drug dealer, the lifestyle of the gangster has been glorified, and therefore, and he's also portrayed as a protector. He's portrayed as someone who has money, who's looked up to in the community. And these things have been glorified ever since they put the drugs in the black neighborhoods in the late 70s and in the 80s. And so because those images that have been portrayed among the black community, a lot of times young girls, if not taught differently, they're trained to look up to those particular individuals, because it's not been publicized, or it has not been glorified that the lawyer, the doctor, or that the plumber, or that the teacher is worthy of that. That's not glorified. That's not publicized as something that, our women need to embrace. But no, you need to embrace this particular lifestyle. And like I said, it produces a level of excitement and things of that sort. So we have definitely a psychosis that we have to break through.
Facts. And we're going to get further into it. We have we have a very special guest that just rolled up to the city. I think she might be in a Land Rover or a Range Rover. I know she in one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur. She's a powerful black woman. She has beaten the odds, and she's back serving the community. She's helping people in the community. She helped me.
All right.
When I went through my blindness, she came in at the right time, and I'm grateful to have her in my life. We go at it sometimes. She's like a sister. But I truly have respect for her, and we're going to have her pull up to the city. She's going to be coming in the studio in a minute, and we're going to get right down to business and find out why women are attracted to men in jail. Get their perspective. Mr. Sims.
Yeah.
It's time to drop the bombs.
Boom.
To the critics. Let's get something clear. I see a lot of people, because I'm blind, I still see. Just understand that. I had vision for 50 years, so I remember everything. If something that I don't know and I haven't seen before, it'd probably be an alien falling out the sky. But I pretty much done seen everything, okay? But anyway, I see a lot of people doing Facebook Live shows and Instagram Live shows, and they calling it a podcast. Well, let me check that. It's not a podcast. you're doing the show live on Facebook and Instagram. And the difference is when you do a live show on Instagram, Facebook, people are already scrolling down that are already on social media. So they could be at work, they can be at home, but people that are already on gonna tune in and just to see what you're talking about. You know, they just curious, Mr. Sims.
That's what it is.
You know, like a little kid, if you go to the zoo and you walk past the monkey cage and you see the chimpanzees swinging on the swing, they gonna stop and just take a look. Now, the difference with a podcast is you have to promote a podcast. You have to go get a YouTube channel and you have to market your podcast and get it out there to the world. And then you have to have a target audience. That's why they have subscribers on the YouTube channel. You have to have people that subscribe to hear your content. Now, when you're doing Facebook Live and Instagram Live, you're just catching anybody at that moment that's coming down on social media looking around to see what they can get into. So a person may have 50,000 followers on Instagram, 60,000 on Facebook. But here's the trick. Can you get them 50,000, 60,000 to jump over on YouTube and subscribe? Probably not. Because you're not marketing your product. So you got to spend money to make money.
Absolutely.
You got a lot of people trying to take the cheap way out, see? No, you got to spend money to make money with podcasters. You got to be able to get a budget. You got to target your audience, and you got to get out there and get people to subscribe to your content. Just like when a movie come out, they put out a trailer. You see the movie at home. It's on your ass to drive to the theater to see the movie.
Yes.
See, that's the trick. That's the talent, to get people out they see to come to the show or come subscribe to your channel to actually hear what you're talking about, for them to like it. And if they subscribe to it, they like it. But if I'm just doing a show, just say, hey, Mr. Sims, we're going to turn on the camera right now and we're on Facebook Live. That don't count. No, because anybody going to tune in because they on social media at the moment. But will they go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe if you started your own show? That's the real test.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I just want to clear that up because we got a lot of people say, oh, I got a podcast. I'm on Facebook Live. No, you don't. You ain't spending no money, bro. You just taping yourself in the bathroom. You're just turning the phone on with the light. You get what I'm saying, Dr. Porter?
Yes, sir. I agree with you totally. When you really have something of value, you have to invest in it. But you got a lot of people now. You have to understand, a lot of people are attention mongers. I could use another word. But a lot of people want to be seen. You know, it's that old adage now. Everybody wants to be a star. And so you see what it's doing to us psychologically and emotionally, because people are not receiving enough attention and love at home. And so people are doing whatever it takes almost now to get some type of attention, to get a like, to get someone to give them some type of love. And it's sad because it's superficial. It's not organic. And so you find a lot of people, you know, doing all types of different things, using social media in a way basically to fulfill a need that they really needs to be supplied through relationship with their family and with their friends. And that's something we got to go back to. We're using superficial tactics in order to be able to try to substitute real emotional love and real emotional need. And that's the sad part of it all.
Facts. So that's what I'm talking about. We done paid our dues. Me and Mr. Sims.
Beat the streets.
We hustle. We started from the bottom, and we still on our way to the top, and we still climbing the ladder to get to the top.
Yes, sir.
And we have beaten all odds. I didn't have people tell me, you're not going to make it. People not going to listen to you, Mr. Cunningham. These kin folks. Mm-hmm. Black folks told me that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But check this out. We not begging no more.
No.
We not knocking on the door no more. We kicking in the front door. Tell him what it is, Mr. Sims.
It's a stick up.
Everybody hit the floor. We taking the bag, Dr. Porter.
Yes, sir.
That's what we doing. We taking the bag.
Yes,
so
sir.
we gonna get right down to business. Sherry just pulled up, like I say, in her Range Rover. She's inside the city.
Oh, I see her.
You see her? She just rolled up?
Oh, man. Fantastic.
I love to see a woman riding in style. She ain't dependent on no man to ride in style. She has her own style. So we're going to be right back. We're going to pay some bills. And the title of this show, the episode is A woman's worth for the love of money. Hot girl edition. We're going to pay these bills. We're going to be right back.
Hey friends, are you overwhelmed by 24/7 time with the kids? Or perhaps you feel all alone? Do you find yourself worrying too much or struggling to sleep? We're not just living through the COVID-19 pandemic. We're also living through an unprecedented mental health crisis. Now might be the time to talk to a licensed therapist. Go to Talkspace.com and get started today. Talkspace, therapy for all.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Langford Cunningham is really an inspiration.
Mr. Langford Cunningham.
Blind City, the podcast. It's headed up by a guy named Langford Cunningham. He had to lose his sight to find his vision.
Blind City, the podcast. I have an amazing guest, Corey Bush, Mike Brown Sr., Demetrius Johnson. How you doing? Her name is Red.
Everybody got their ops. Everybody got their enemies. But for real, now you don't even got to worry about your enemy. It be, the closest motherfuckers around you.
No, this is real. We getting shot by police. We getting stereotyped.
We didn't get a proper investigation. Well, definitely, I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Your car got shot up, right?
Yeah, he dropped the bullet.
Yeah, you from the hood.
They just passed a law where you can give a kid a gun without the parents' permission.
Wait a minute. They can do what? We got people in power that's not really for the people. They think the people work for them. You work for the people.
We got to talk about the disparities in our community.
Northside look like a bomb didn't hit it.
If you found this content helpful, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Blind City, the podcast.
Blind City, the podcast. I'm your host, Langford Cunningham. I had to lose my sight to find my vision. And Dr. Porter is inside the city, and our special guest has just pulled up. How you doing, Sherry?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, blessing blind, baby. Blessing blind. Thank you for stopping by the city.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about, before we get into your story a little bit, I want to get some of your opinion with the younger ladies out there now. I'm seeing a lot what's going on with the twerking on the internet, the stripping, not seeing a lot of glamorization of women really like going to college and becoming a nurse or getting a career. It's like we keep seeing the same type of monkey business going over and over for that quick money and getting attention off their bodies for little money. They're not really getting a gain of money. They're getting a little money. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think once reality TV came into this on the scene, actually, that really glorified it. Reality TV made it okay for, because most of the girls that on reality TV, that's what they were. They were strippers.
Facts.
So now they live the glamorous life. They have the cars. They have the money. They're on TV. And so I think not only reality TV, but as well as like rap songs and things like that. We know rap was the very first thing to come onto the scene to glorify all of the, the stripping and, things like that. But reality TV really glorified it. I think once reality TV came on the scene, that took the cake because everybody on there is a stripper.
Facts. But do you also think too, back in the day in the 80s and 90s though, we had the nonsense as well. We had 2 Live Crew. We had the booty shaking music, rump shaker. But we also had music like Public Enemy. We had a balance with our music. I mean, even though we might have the girls shaking the booty, we also had the brothers talking about, I'm black and I'm proud. We had messages in raps, but it seems like now we don't have that. It just seems like when you turn on the radio and hip hop, every other song is about a girl saying you got to have money to have sex with me.
As far as the men goes, they always said that rap glorified, men rapping glorified, gangster lifestyles and crime and things of that nature. Speaking as far as women goes, I know for a fact as far as the women goes, back in the 80s and, the 70s and the 80s, we weren't getting rich off of stripping. You know what I mean? Now you can get rich off of it because you're going to hit reality TV. I mean, and then once you get on reality TV, that's where the money comes in. So they figured that stripping almost can be a gateway to TV or to being famous.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, stripping is a gateway to becoming famous. If you can get out there and you can strip and you can get on TV, why not? And you can make money and live the lifestyle that you want. That's what I think they look forward to. So that's what these young women have to look up to now. As far as selling sex, I think that goes back to just not being taught, not being educated, not valuing yourself. You know what I mean? Not knowing your worth, basically. Because anytime you go out here and you sell your body for $40, $50, how could you be valuing yourself? You know what I mean? How could you love yourself, basically? I think that goes back to, like I said, them not being taught. You weren't taught that this is, the right thing to do.
Okay.
You shouldn't sell yourself because it's just.
Well, before I pitch it to Dr. Porter, let's talk about in your days when you grew up. What was the female hustle from the streets? You kind of came through the streets. What was the hustle of the woman back then?
Well, we know what they say about prostitution. That's the oldest profession, right?
Facts.
That's the oldest profession is prostitution. So that's always been around. Prostitution has always been around. I believe, and in my day, it hasn't changed. When I was growing up, that's what the women were out here doing. I guess they kind of say, if it's your guy and he's giving you things in return for sex, then that's not prostitution. Well, is it?
From a guy's standpoint,
it's still prostitution,
right? I mean, if you accept gifts for money and you give them sex back, let's ask Dr. Porter. Dr. Porter, what do you think about that question?
Well, I think that, and I agree with what he has said. She's exactly right in what she has disseminated. But I like to go to the root of the problem. I think that we deal with so many symptoms. The majority of the time, we don't get to the root of the problem. We have to understand that there has definitely been a war to divide the family, to divide and conquer the family. And the psychosis of the mentality of not only idolatry that we live in right now, but also we live in a world who promotes thelema. Now, the word thelema means do as thou wilt, is the whole of the law. It was coined by Aleister Crowley. And we have to understand when you live up under a system that promotes do what you will as the whole of the law, anything can happen from any moment. What it does, it encourages you to live vicariously through emotionalism, meaning whatever I feel like doing, it's okay. Do whatever you feel. So that leaves us no boundaries. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying you have that system in place, and then you have a system of idolatry where it's about wealth, where the principal or the principal guide or the principal focus is about wealth. Now you lose priority, especially from a people. Now you look at a people like us who are lowest on the totem pole, who were brought here in slave ships, and you look at what we lost and what we didn't have. So you put that doctrine up under us. It affects us even more than it does any other ethnicity. And so you find us now displaying all types of different behaviors that are unconducive to the family, that are unconducive to the development of our people. And that's then put on display. Every ethnicity has problems and they go through the same thing. It's just not promoted. But Black people, we're the ones that are promoted. See, we don't own the radio stations, nor do we own the TV stations. But you see us being more exploited than any other race. You see our women being exploited and taught, and that being put in front of us, it's being projected as this is what you should do. It's indoctrination, it's programming. And we, unlike any other ethnicity and race of people, we have fallen victim to exploitation, and we've fallen victim to indoctrination. And so that's what you see being played out. As I said once before, life is imitating art. Art is not imitating life. This started years ago. And it started not just in the 60s, but it started into slavery, where there was a division that was put together, a plan to put together a division between the Black man and the Black woman. And so I can go deeper into that because the Black woman wants security. She doesn't feel secure. She doesn't feel protected by her man. And so now she's been put into a state of survival mode what are you seeing when people decide? Most women aren't born wanting to just show their bodies and just do the things that they do. But a lot of times they're being pushed into certain indoctrinations, pushed into certain things because it's survival mode. I got to survive. I got to feed my children. I don't have a man in the house. My relationships have been dysfunctional. All I've seen is dysfunctionality. But I'm looking at television. I'm seeing these women. They're glamorous and they're beautiful and they got their cars and they got this and that. And so when you see these images being portrayed, and you have nothing else to offset that, that becomes the reality of your life. And you see this being played out in our community. And as a process of that, or product of that, now you're seeing more women embracing the mindset of prostitution. And this is, we can talk about the average woman, and no disrespect men, but this is what society is creating. And more men developing a mentality of just being Johns instead of being men. Instead of Black women looking for real relationships, looking to have real families, now we're relegating ourselves to being just prostitutes and being just Johns. And so we have to learn to get back to what prioritize what's important, and that is family. Prioritize those things.
Well, Doc, let me say this, and Sherry, I'm gonna pitch it back to you. Let me say this, because I've been on both sides when I was in the streets and when I was in the game. I know that type of lifestyle brings power and greed. And one thing I noticed, even with the women may being attracted to guys like that, it seems like when they do get in a relationship with a guy, a drug dealer, or the guy that has the most money on the block, and when the relationship doesn't work out, they kind of get bitter. But sometimes you got to understand how money works. Money is the root to all evil. So especially with men, when we get that dollar, that kind of take us to new heights. When we were broke, nobody was looking at us. Nobody was looking at us. Nobody was trying to give us the play. We weren't getting no clout. But soon as we get that dollar and every lady is looking at us on the block like, nah, you sexy. Now that kind of programs us like, why would I be loyal? I kind of like how this feel. All I got to do is have money and I can get the honey. And that's what you're saying. And the sad thing about it, kids are being produced out of this. And now it becomes a generation curse, because now when your daughter or son gets older, they falling into the same entrapment. And we wonder why the divorce rate is 80% among African Americans. And what I'm seeing, because I've seen for 50 years, is that we're having a lot of abandonment and people jumping ships out of relationships quickly over petty differences. Because you had nothing in common anyway. It was just the thrill of laying down with a baller, or he got money. It never really had the principles of structure for it to survive. How you feel about that, Sher?
Well, first I want to go back to you saying that once the relationship ends, the woman becomes bitter. So what makes you think that she's bitter? What gives you that, what makes you feel like she's bitter?
Because my personal experience, I have met a lot of women that have just gotten out of relationships and they were kind of torn by what they just got out of, and they carry that luggage. Erykah Badu made a song called Bag Lady that went to #1.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, I can't sit here and say all women. No. But my personal experience and friends I've known, some women carry that bags on their back when something didn't happen the way that they thought it was going to happen. And then when you look at it, they go right back and date the same guy again.
I think a real big thing with women is that it's their father. A father in a woman's life is very important. And I don't think that a lot of people, I know a lot of people know that, but I don't think that woman knows that herself. If you don't have a man or model or a father in your life, that plays a very important role in, what a woman does, how she feels about herself, because your father is the first man that you're supposed to fall in love with.
Facts.
That's supposed to be your daddy. Your daddy is supposed to show you how a man is supposed to treat you. And if you don't have that in your home, like Dr. Porter was saying, if you don't have that in your home, because they've broken up our homes. And if you don't have that, and if a woman doesn't have that to be shown to her, a man to show that to her, then she doesn't know how he's supposed to make her feel. As far as them, I think being bitter, like you said, not all women become bitter. Hurt, absolutely. Bitter, I don't think so. I think we all have baggage, though, from different experiences, not only relationships, but experiences in life, period.
Right.
We all have baggage. So, but you do have bitter women. I'm not going to say that you don't. You do. But I think as far as baggage goes, we all have that. We all have baggage from something, from some kind of life experience. But as far as a woman selling her body and dealing with a drug dealer, we were never taught how to live. I think we were taught how to survive. My mother did. Facts. My mother taught me how to survive. So what I had to do, like Dr. Porter was saying, we got bills to pay. You got to feed your kids. So you have to do what you need to do to survive. I didn't always own my own business. You know, I struggled before I got here. I struggled like any other Black female or any other female for that matter, or any other single parent.
So how did you tread water through those storms?
I worked. I had a job. I didn't sell my body or anything. I worked. It was hard. I worked at 9 to 5 every day, but it was hard because I still wasn't able to make ends meet. I'm not a college graduate. So it seems like every job I got, I can only go to certain, so far because I didn't have the education to go further. And so I was tired of those doors being closed in my face. And so I just decided that I had to do something for me and my family, my children, you know, to better ourselves. I can't keep working these jobs when, you know, it's just a 9 to 5. I'm barely making ends meet. I'm barely feeding my family, you know, so I had to make a decision that there was something else that I had to do. There had to be something else better out there for us. And being an entrepreneur was the best thing for me.
So did men come into your life, try to bargain with you? Because, you know, I know some guys, when they see a woman struggling,
absolutely, they
come in like, I got money.
Absolutely.
We can do this, but I want this too.
Absolutely. I lived in the hood. I went to Beaumont High School. So I grew up on the north side. I mean, but once I came back to St. Louis, I didn't really grow up in St. Louis, but once I came back to St. Louis, we moved on the north side. So I grew up on the north side. So absolutely I had men coming to me, offering me. And it's very tempting when you can't pay your bills. When you know, it's very tempting. Let's go back to high school. It's very tempting in high school when you don't have all the things that all the other children have, or all the other girls have, because your mother can't afford it. Let's talk about that. So it's very tempting when that drug dealer comes up to you and he's living this glamorous lifestyle and he's like, you know, I can give you these things. Absolutely, you're going to go take him up on it because you want what everybody else has. You know, it's a crazy mindset. Yeah, but you want what everybody else has, and the only way that you can get it. So you think instead of going out here and getting your job and working for it, you get it the easy way. You go to the drug dealer.
Check it out. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come right back with Sherry and get Dr. Porter's reply on this. A woman's self-worth for the love of money. Hot Girl Edition. We'll be right back.
Hey friends, are you overwhelmed by 24/7 time with the kids? Or perhaps you feel all alone? Do you find yourself worrying too much or struggling to sleep? We're not just living through the COVID-19 pandemic. We're also living through an unprecedented mental health crisis. Now might be the time to talk to a licensed therapist. Go to Talkspace.com and get started today. Talkspace, therapy for all.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Langford Cunningham is really an inspiration.
Mr. Langford Cunningham.
Blind City, the podcast. It's headed up by a guy named Langford Cunningham. He had to lose his sight to find his vision.
Blind City, the podcast. I have an amazing guest, Corey Bush, Mike Brown Sr., Demetrius Johnson. How you doing? Her name is Red.
Everybody got their ops. Everybody got their enemies. But for real, now you don't even got to worry about your enemy. It be, you know, the closest motherfuckers around you.
No, this is real. We getting shot by police. We getting stereotyped.
We didn't get a proper investigation. Well, definitely, I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Your car got shot up, right?
Yeah, he dropped the bullet.
Yeah, you from the hood.
They just passed a law where you can give a kid a gun without the parents' permission.
Wait a minute. They can do what? We got people in power that's not really for the people. They think the people work for them. You work for the people.
We got to talk about the disparities in our community.
North side look like a bomb didn't hit it.
If you found this content helpful, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Blind City, the podcast.
Blind City. We got a great topic going on right now. We have Sherry in the building. She just pulled up to the city. She's letting us know about women in environments that are struggling, never really had a father figure, and they had to get out here and learn themselves on how to survive. Very interesting. And what I'm seeing now with the younger women is like they falling off the cliff without no parachute, because I'm just seeing the same repetitive behavior. Instagram models, for sale, twerking, for fans only. Men can swipe their credit card and watch the girl take off her clothes on Instagram. Social media is pimping now. I think that might be sex trafficking too. I don't know. I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble. I'm just being real. Dr. Porter, what you think what's going on about this?
Well, we're not living in a stable society today. It's obvious. It's almost safe to say that we're actually, a majority of us are dealing with sociopathic behavior as well as psychopathic behavior. And that's become the norm, where at one time that wasn't the norm. But you're seeing a lot of psychosis out here right now. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people, for more or less, are almost out of their minds. And you're seeing behavior that's being normalized to the point to where you're seeing people just don't even care anymore. You know, like I said before, prioritize your priorities, and your perception is everything in how you see. And a lot of times, some people don't even want to hear the truth. They have relegated themselves to debauchery, and almost we're living in Babylon or Babylonian times. We've gone back to that. As I stated before, we're living up under the rule of Thelimah. Do as thou wilt is the law. And when you live like that, you're going to see that chaos is going to ensue. We're not in a disciplined, orderly society. Okay, everything it's completely chaotic. And as I stated before, it starts with the family. And if I'm just going to deal with our people, particularly the black man and the black woman, has to look at each other with respect again. We have to be able to heal from all of the trauma that we've suffered and all of the divisiveness that we have gained and that has been impressed upon us on how we look at each other. See, we have been psychologically, as I said before, indoctrinated to hate each other, okay, to look at each other with despisement. And when you had the feminist movement that came into play, Gloria Steinem in the late 1960s, early 70s, then that completely destroyed the family because it moved the black woman away from the black man. And all of a sudden you had this independent doctrine moving forward. Now, when we talk about feminism, they say it was supposed to be just about women getting their equal rights, voting rights, things of that sort, equal rights of pay. That's beautiful. But it had it had an agenda, hidden agenda to it. And the hidden agenda wasn't that. The hidden agenda was that the powers that be wanted to tax the other half of the community. They couldn't tax the other half of society because majority of the women were at home. And then on top of that, it would destroy the family. That's why you had the welfare system that came in to play that said, we get benefits, but you can't have a man in the home. There was a reason for that.
Facts.
And when you're dealing with the system where you have economic castration and you have institutionalized racism being in place, for those of us who are low on the totem pole, which I'm talking about the black man, it makes it harder for him to be able to provide for his woman and to provide for his family because he cannot necessarily get the jobs that other ethnicities could get. So then we're portrayed as lazy, we're portrayed as good for nothings, we're portrayed as people.
But hold up, Doc. Hold up. Right. But you're hitting a nerve again, Doc. You're hitting the doc. You're in surgery. You're hitting the nerves, man. Well, let me ask you this. What about, when you meet women, I don't date light-skinned dudes. I date dudes. I like the dark Negro. I don't like the light-skinned Negro. That's not my preference. Or the light-skinned woman. I only like the light-skinned woman. I don't like the darker female. I mean, all this is damaging. I've experienced it a lot, and I thought the goal of love was to find somebody who can really care about you from the heart. Why does the complexion plays a major part in our community? With the other races, the Bosnians don't say nothing like that. The Chinese don't say nothing like that. We're the only ones. We keep finding damaging things to treat each other, and we have an 85% divorce rate. We're already losing. Why do we have to look at the complexion to say this relationship gonna go right, but this is what I'm attracted to? And I go by, well, I was attracted to light-skinned women. After I had 4 or 5 of them, it didn't work. I said, well, maybe I need to switch up. Isn't that the common sense? If it don't work for you, don't you switch up? You keep trying it, and it still don't work. What you think, Doc?
Well, what I think is that we're too superficial. As I stated before, we have not been trained on what to look for on the important things like love, someone to care for you, someone that has your best interests at heart, someone that can help you to be a better person. We're not trained to embrace or to admire or to honor those particular types of things. You know, being with someone who can be able to protect you, you can learn from, someone that's going to work with you side by side, someone that you can grow with, someone that has a spirituality about themselves. They have a love for a higher power. You know, they have kindness about themselves. See, we're not programmed. We've been indoctrinated to like superficial things, whether it be color, hair, somebody's shape, what they drive. See, we're people right now that our value a lot of times is associated with what we wear, what we drive, because we really don't own anything in this America. So now what we have done is we've associated our value, and that's what you're seeing with the car that we drive, or the clothes that we wear, or the shoes that we have, or the purse that a woman carries. These have become, we have identified our self-worth through these material, superficial things. And therefore our relationships have also become superficial, because now that has bleeded into our psychosis. So now that we see ourselves as superficial, we deal basically with imagery. We love imagery. And therefore there is no real solid relationship, because it's not based on anything solid. It's based on superficial things. That's why the man with the biggest Cadillac, he has a woman. But if another man comes up with the biggest Cadillac, the biggest wallet, then all of a sudden you have hypergamy. You know, now all of a sudden she's going to someone else, or she's moving on. And so men become resentful from that. So like women, when you're talking about women being bitter, a lot of men are bitter and
exactly.
resentful.
Facts.
Now, a lot of them. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me pitch it back to Sherry. Sherry, why is because you and I have really, we debated on this.
We did
a lot.
We did.
Me and Sherry go at it with this, and like I say, I don't want people to take nothing the wrong way. Me and Sherry are real cool, but we go in it like brother and sister sometimes. But I just want to ask Sherry, why is attraction of the complexion at a higher level than somebody really loving you?
Well, I don't think that it is. I really don't. Now that I'm older, that was. Let me say, in high school, the thing was a light-skinned guy with a curl. You remember that in the 80s when curls out? So you had to have a light-skinned guy with a curl. That was the thing. So you were looking for that. And then when you get old, well, as I'm going to speak for myself, as I got older, then that was no longer my attraction anymore. A dark-skinned guy had become my attraction. But now that I'm older, I am still attracted to the dark-skinned guy, but I do believe that what God has for me is for me. So if God sends me a light-skinned guy that I'm not attracted to, then I'm sure that since he sent him, then I'm going to be attracted to him. I'm going to love him. He's going to be God-fearing. He's going to be all the things that I pray for and I ask God for in a man. So I don't necessarily believe that it's light skin or dark skin. Now, I will say I am attracted to a dark skin guy. I am attracted to dark skinned men. I am. That's my preference, a dark-skinned guy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Do you think that your attraction to the darker-skinned guy is pretty much based on light-skinned guys have always seemed like on TV and in the streets, like you say, during the time, they were always the ones that were glamorized over the dark-skinned guy?
I don't think so, no.
Oh,
because, me growing up, I guess you would have to ask a dark-skinned woman, though, but dark-skinned women, lighter-skinned women were always glamorized over dark-skinned women.
Exactly.
Guys, I guess back in the day, a light-skinned woman was a preference for a guy, for any guy. If you were light-skinned, you was it. That's what you was hot in the streets. You know what I mean? But I think as far as men goes, I never saw the light-skinned guy being, if I do, I don't remember. I never seen the light-skinned guy being more glamorized than the dark-skinned guy. I don't think. I thought for men, it was the body. the build.
So that goes back to slavery then. The big black man in the plantation field with the muscles, and the light-skinned guy was pushing the stagecoach for master.
Well, you go back. If you take it back to slavery, then because the light-skinned people were always allowed in the house, and the darker-skinned people had to stay out in the field.
Doc, talk to me.
Yeah, we can contribute all this to the divisiveness that was instituted in us through slavery. As we look at the Willie Lynch letter, whether you believe it's real or not, that was the whole thing, to make us be divisive on every little bitty thing, whether it be color, whether it be skin, whether it be hair, whether it be how big the plantation was, young and old, light and dark. It didn't matter. That was a program that was put into place that still exists to this day. To make us divisive against one another. And so we have to break down the shackles of divisiveness. We have to see each other as collective, which most of the time we do not. We do not see each other as assets, but we see each other as people who are divisive toward each other.
But how can we, but hold on, Doc, excuse me. But how can we, Doc, when the social media and the television, every time, and like I say, I like Beyonce. But I think sometimes she gets overrated. It's like they make her the queen of R&B, but Anita Baker can sing.
But can
India Arie can sing. Why? But I'm just talking about as far as the media though. How anything Beyonce puts out there, they throw it at you on TV. I mean, it's constantly you see her, and I'm not hating. So all the Beyonce killer bees don't come after me. All I'm saying is. I just see a lot of marketing strategies for the lighter shade woman on TV than the chocolate girl.
It's always been that way for women. It may have been that way for men as well. I don't know. I guess because I never really paid it attention, but it always has been that way for women. The lighter skinned woman has always been glorified over the dark skin. Like you hear, I have plenty of dark skinned friends that says that people would tell them when they were younger, "Oh, you're cute for a dark skinned girl." Well, what exactly does that mean? You know what I mean? Exactly what does that mean? You're cute for a dark-skinned girl. If you're cute, you're cute. It doesn't matter the shade of your skin. As far as me, my preference being dark-skinned men, I don't think I would shame a guy for being light-skinned. I think that is just my preference. Now, if it goes deeper than that, then I probably do need to sit down and talk to a therapist because I don't know. But I think that at this moment, that's just my preference. Now, if God sends me a light-skinned man, like I said, then by all means, my door is open. And I'll accept that, but that's just not my preference at this time.
Well, Doc, before I pitch it to you, let's talk about King Kong. Oh yeah, let's talk about it. Let's flip tables like Jesus. Mm-hmm. King Kong climbed the Empire State Building for that white woman. And what happened to King Kong, Doc, when he had the white woman in his hand on top of the Empire State Building? What happened to King Kong, Doc?
He got destroyed.
He did.
He got shot.
Right.
He did.
Right. Yeah. So that white woman is protected, brother. That white woman is held on that pedestal. And what I'm trying to make the connection is we as black people are battling with each other, but the white woman is held at a level where in that race they not battling. They already know she's supreme. And this is what happens if she get hurt. But with us, we damage each other every day. Every day. And it shows with our children, man. The children are the ones that are suffering right now, Doc. We got to talk to the young girls, man. Because sometimes we can get too deep. They're going to walk away. We got to talk to the young girls out here and young boys because they are duplicating and repeating from our failure. And I feel we're at fault because we're passing the torch on, like with the violence. Why are you killing each other? Well, we was killing each other as Crips and Bloods in 82. We was killing each other back then. We passed the torch to the younger generation. We wasn't there for them. We was going to Freaknik, having sex, drinking 40s, kicking it, left the young black woman out there to raise these kids on her own, selling dope, and then the feds kicked the door in, took everybody to jail. Now she's out there left to survive. So we out here trying to repair this damage that it might be too far gone because what you're seeing with the kids, man, we're breaking up with baby daddies, with baby mamas, and we're accepting these roles. And then when you speak of marriage, people are kind of back up. They hesitant like, I don't know if I want to do that. But how are we going to get the family ever back together if we still playing baby mama, baby daddy?
I think it goes back to slavery. Like I think Dr. Porter said that earlier. I think that it all goes back to slavery. When the slaves were freed, they had no skills. They had nothing to go to. So they had to survive. They had to do what they had to do to survive once they were free. And so that has been passed on from generation to generation to generation. That you have not all black people. You have college graduates. You have black doctors and lawyers. You have black successful people. So,
but they're not looking for them. They're not looking for them.
But I think it goes back, like I said, to slavery. When they were free, they were released to nothing. They had to survive, and so they taught their children that. Not only did they teach them, they saw it. So that was all that you had. You had survival skills. You didn't have any other skills.
So, Doc, how long we going to keep saying slavery, though? Because you might have some people from other races, they looking at this, and they be like, man, we tired of hearing all that.
Redundant.
You know, right. We're going to be in 2050 still saying slavery condition. When are we going to take accountability for us, man? Like me as a man, I had to go to court to get my daughter. I had to take initiative for that. No matter because me and the mother didn't see eye to eye, but that's my girl. I had to fight to get her back, man. I had to take initiative. So that's what I'm saying, Doc. How long we going to keep saying slavery, man? When are we going to take initiative to fix some of this damage?
Well, I think that you can never take that piece out of that, just like the Jews never let you forget about the Holocaust. We cannot forget about the horror of slavery, because it's a part of the psychosis which we deal with right now. Now, we do not blame everything on that, but we have to understand institutionalized racism and a system that has never allowed us to heal. So that is part of the story, but it shouldn't end there. What we have to do is to train and teach our children when they see certain things to understand what's real and what's not real. A lot of times, offset. There's nothing to offset when they see the woman or the man on television portraying certain images. There's no one to say that's not reality. That's not the way it's supposed to be. This is what we need to adhere to. This is what needs to be glamorized. A lot of times we're acting out what we see on television. So it reinforces the negative images that we see. It reinforces the negatives, and it makes it seem like those things are glamorized. And that's what we need to live out in our lives. So when we talk about slavery and we talk about all of that, that's the root of the problem. But no, we definitely don't need to end there. Listen, you are right. We need accountability. But a lot of times people don't want to be accountable. As I stated before, a lot of people have gotten to a place where they just trying to survive mode. The society is so hard right now. It's so difficult to maintain. A lot of people are hopeless. And the black family is being, by the man and the woman, being so divisive toward each other. They have basically said, okay, I'm just going to do my thing. And you have a lot of that. A lot of people don't even want to get in relationships now. Or if they're in relationships, they want to be open. They want to be open. They don't want to have responsibility or ability in those relationships. So it's almost like you just friends that are dating, but yet I'm going to do my thing when I feel like doing my thing. It's chaotic. It's very confusing. That's why we need therapy. We need therapy to undo all of the trauma and the indoctrination and the psychosis that we have suffered and are still suffering from. And that's what we need therapy for. You can't talk this out. We're going to all have to go through some deprogramming stage so that we can put the main thing. And that's to prioritize what's important. What is important? Not just getting money. The Beatles had a song out. Even they knew that money don't buy you love. What's important is being able to have someone and people in your life that love you, that you can trust, that have your back, and that you can grow with. You can have a home, but what did Luther Vandross say? A house is not a home if you don't have people inside of it that you can love, that you can trust, can be encouraged by. Listen, there are a lot of people who were poor, rich now, but they were poor. And they said they didn't even know they were poor because the family was so loving. There was so much kindness and so much love in it and so much gentleness in it. But that's not the way it is. People are cold-hearted. People are distant. People are self-centered. They're narcissists. And we've got to move away from that type of mindset and behavior. It's all individualized. And one of the things, and I'm going to say this, first thing we have to realize is that we even have a problem. Many of us as Black people, Black women and men, don't even want to acknowledge that we have a problem. Let me say that again. We have a problem. Not just the Black woman has a problem, not just the Black man has a problem. We have a problem. We have to stop this gender war if we're going to ever do anything constructive to rebuild back our society. Our children are going to hell in a handbasket because we keep looking at each other, pointing the finger.
Facts.
You're right? You're not this, you're not that. No, neither one of us are where we need to be. And so when we talk about history and we go back, we only go back. We're only supposed to go back, not to blame any ethnicity, but to say to ourselves, this is why we're here. We're here for a reason. It just didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen organically. So when we talk about slavery or history or black codes or Reformation or any of these other different things that we suffered from, we have to, under Jim Crow, we have to understand those things are just helping to tell the narrative of how we got to this point here right now. Not to make excuses, but how we got to this point. It upsets me because I see my race of people being destroyed right before our eyes. In fact, genocide is taking place right before our eyes because not only do we not want to love each other, now we're just adhering to loving other races. That's another thing that you have to look at now. The black woman don't want to be with the black man. She's being trained and indoctrinated to be with every other type of man, to value every other type of man except for her own. And the black man is guilty as well. You are seeing this phenomenon taking place in advertisement, in commercials, all over. You're seeing this phenomenon in movies taking place. It's not by chance. And we need to wake up and see this is not a new millennium. This is not a new day. No, this is an extermination. This is where you see genocide taking place, where a race is getting ready to be wiped out because we can't get ourselves together, because all we care about is having fun. All we care about is the bag. All we care about is just doing whatever we want to do. And basically, for the most part, we're losing our minds. We're losing our society, losing our families.
And check it out, Doc. Check it out. You're right. We're going to pay some bills, but to the young women, I don't know how they're going to find love when they on drugs. Percocets and ecstasy pills. We be right back.
Hey friends, are you overwhelmed by 24/7 time with the kids? Or perhaps you feel all alone? Do you find yourself worrying too much or struggling to sleep? We're not just living through the COVID-19 pandemic. We're also living through an unprecedented mental health crisis. Now might be the time to talk to a licensed therapist. Go to Talkspace.com and get started today. Talkspace, therapy for all.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Langford Cunningham is really an inspiration.
Mr. Langford Cunningham.
Blind City, the podcast. It's headed up by a guy named Langford Cunningham. He had to lose his sight to find his vision.
Blind City, the podcast. I have an amazing guest, Corey Bush, Mike Brown Sr., Demetrius Johnson. How you doing? Her name is Red.
Everybody got their ops. Everybody got their enemies. But for real, now you don't even got to worry about your enemy. It be, the closest motherfuckers around you.
No, this is real. We getting shot by police. We getting stereotyped.
We didn't get a proper investigation. Well, definitely, I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Your car got shot up, right?
Yeah, he struck the bullet.
Yeah, you from the hood.
They just passed a law where you can give a kid a gun without the parent's permission.
Wait a minute. They can do what? We got people in power that's not really for the people. They think the people work for them. You work for the people.
We got to talk about the disparities in our community.
Northside look like a bomb didn't hit it.
If you found this content helpful, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Blind City, the podcast.
Blind City, the podcast. Great discussion. The temperature is getting heated. We're getting right down to business. And let me say this to anybody who is not black listening to this show. We're addressing issues that have been affecting our community, and a lot of people have been scared to talk about this. And we're bringing it to the forefront. We have to address these issues to help us. You can Black Lives Matter all damn day. That's a woman movement too. Do your history on that. That's another show. But let me say this. We have to address some issues to get rid of this toxic. That's why I brought in Dr. Porter, Blind City, the podcast. We are the therapy for the streets. So it might be uncomfortable. That's good. Uncomfortability brings change. Too many of y'all are complacent to the nonsense, to the twerking, to some of the ridiculous music I be hearing on the radio. And I love rap. But I'm tired of my sisters rapping about their booty, their body. Give me money. Give me this. Give me this. I like designers. Yes, I do. I fall guilty of it too. But guess what? I don't love it that much where I will put my life on the line for it. Why would you sell your body for it? That's the only body you have that God has given you. And when you die, guess what? Polo, Gucci, they don't go with you in the casket. They gonna put your ass in an old ass dress or a suit and put you in the ground.
Yeah, because like Dr. Porter said, it's not a he or she thing. It's a us thing. So it's not just the female rappers. It's the male rappers as well.
Yeah.
They glorifying drug dealing and shooting and killing and, and that's what's going on in our neighborhood. Drug dealing, shooting and killing. Women, the selling of sex in her body and all that. So we have to come together as a race and try to solve that, because we can't do it, like he said, by pointing fingers. He, she, that's not going to work. We have to do it together.
We do have rappers out there with messages. They just not getting the airplay on the radio because we don't own the radio stations.
Right.
So we know who runs the radio station.
Right.
And we got program directors. It's not his fault. He got to play the music what they telling him to play. Exactly. So we just have a lot of people, man, with leashes on their neck. We got to learn how to become entrepreneurs, like what you're doing, Sherry. Loving Angels. Loving Angels is the name of her business.
Loving Angels Home Care Services, Loving Angels Adult Day Center, as well as now the Loving Angels Foundation. It's 3.
Do you have any phone numbers if they need to get in touch with you?
Yes, we are located at 5411 South Grand Boulevard. The phone number is 314-499-3405. We care for the elderly inside of their homes. We send clients out to care for the elderly while they're at home. And we also bring them into our facility, which is the Adult Day Center. And now we have a nonprofit organization, Loving Angels Foundation. Is our nonprofit organization. And we're going to use our resources to help the elderly as well.
And we're going to be doing work with your organization, with my nonprofit as well, Redemption Academy. So, you're empowering. You're giving back to the community. And that's the start we're talking about. We have to start fixing us, and it takes each of us to do it. Yeah. Each of us to do it. So right now, I'm going to play a clip from my girl from Bad Bitch Radio podcast. She's talking about the queen mindset, and then we're going to get, I guess, see what they have to say about it. Let's go.
The second component is a queen is very intentional with her actions, meaning that she has a plan, okay? As a queen, you got to know what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how you're doing it. So that means that you need to set up long-term plans, short-term plans, okay? You need to have your goals organized. You need to know what is popping and be very clear on it. So when it comes down to everything, you really have to make sure that when you're on your queen shit, that you're just planning stuff out, you're thinking ahead, you understand, and not being afraid of planning things out. Now, I also understand, I always say this with planning, that things may not go according to the way you want them to be. You understand? That's just life in general. But there's a sense of comfort that you attain when you have a plan.
A plan? What you think of that, Sherry?
I think a plan is very important. It's very important because if you don't have a plan, then, where are you going? You know what I mean? If you don't have a plan, you got to have goals. A plan is extremely important because you have to be able to know what your next step is. When you start something, you got to, know what your next steps are. You can't just do something and just, fly by the seat of your pants, because 9 times out of 10, most businesses, they say, and I can't remember what the percentage is, but most businesses fail within the first year or 5 years or something like that anyway. So if you don't have a plan on what you're going to do to keep that business afloat or to keep anything that you're doing striving and alive, if you don't have a plan for that, then most likely then you'll fail because you're just doing something. You know what I mean? You got to have a plan.
There you go. Dr. Porter, we played a clip from a young lady, and she was talking about the queen mindset, and she was just letting the younger ladies know. She was around 25 years old, and she empowers young black women to have a plan, to get a queen mindset, take control of your life, make right decisions, make right business, create business opportunities for yourself. What you think about that, Dr. Porter?
Well, I definitely agree with that and co-sign those sentiments. But most importantly, I think that psychologically we have to become healthy, and emotionally we have to become healthy. We can have a plan, but if we are not psychologically or emotionally healthy enough, we won't be able to carry out that plan. And I think as for businesses, of course, we have to have a plan. That's important. But we need to have a plan also for our lives. We have to have a plan for our relationships. You know, we have to prioritize and value those particular things, because those are the root of everything. You can do business, you can do all of these other things. But if we're not emotionally stable, if we're not psychologically stable, if our perceptions are dysfunctional, if our outlooks and priorities are not where they need to be, if our agendas are not properly in place, then we can put all the plans together we can. And even if we reach some of those natural goals, they can be destroyed by unnatural things. So I think that for us as Black community, one of our first and foremost things is to begin the process of putting a plan together to get healed. It was stated earlier how many dysfunctional relationships that we have been products of. You know, people suffer from post-traumatic relationship disorder. A lot of us are running around here with that type of trauma because we've been in so many toxic relationships, and it has affected us. And let me say this, if we don't get healed from a lot of those things, it'll affect your business. It'll affect how you move. It'll affect your progress. It'll affect your destiny. So I agree with all of that. But as we have a plan to get the money, a plan to be independent, a plan to gather things in life, we also need to have a plan for a healthy psychological mindset and a healthy emotional state as well.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We got to get on our grind to change some minds. Have to get on our grind and change the set of our minds. Sherry, I thank you. This is what Blind City Podcast is about, the everyday people. And like I told you, I'm not about the go alone to get along celebrities being on my show. If I come across one and they really have something to say about their struggle that can influence our younger minds to change their mindset, I may interview them. But this show is about everyday people that are out to make a change in their community. And I thank you, Sherry. You're definitely doing that. And I look forward to having you on again later in the future. Thank you for your time. And you and I will continue to debate.
Well, thank you for having me. And we absolutely will continue to debate. Well, I say argue, you say debate. But see, there we go. That's how it starts. Right. But I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Tell your family I said hello. Let me say this. I had to lose my sight to find my vision. And I was once trapped in the world of materialism. I thought the cars, the house in West County, all the designer clothes I had empowered me to get women, to get prestige, to feel like I'm somebody. And once my sight was taken away from me and I couldn't see that house no more, I couldn't see those cars no more, I couldn't even see the clothes that I have to put on every day. It didn't mean nothing to me no more because the higher power displayed to me, you are somebody without all that. And when you leave her, you won't take none of that with you. So I had to improve on my personal relationship with God and my personal relationship with people. And now I found a way how to empower people through Blind City, the podcast, by finding the true value of self. To my ladies, know your self-worth. And it doesn't mean it's about money all the time. Know you. Find you. What inspires you? Why did the higher power create you? Everybody has a purpose. So I hope you find it. Thank you for listening to the show. And I will say this. Treat your coochie like it's Gucci. Blind City, the podcast.
The views expressed on Blind City are to inspire and motivate people who are struggling through the dark times and searching for the true light. If you found this content helpful, please share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Blind City, the podcast. You can find us on all social media platforms.
publish the back 10 crumb. Got a